Peace to everybody. I'm here at Selocta, Alabama at the Comer Museum and Arts Center. And this is a picture of the building. Okay, I'm inside the building. Please sign our guest book. So I'm gonna sign the guest book.
Ever gonna quit raining? Is this Judy's? No, what's it?
This is in the archaeology room. It's cool, some petrified wood, coral fossil, fossilized coral. That's nice. Smoky quartz.
Just trying to mind my P's and Q's. I think that.
This is a 400-pound rock made up of calcite crystals with some manganese crystals around the back and sides. It's donated by the Georgia Marble Company. And Selocta, by the way, is known as the Marble City, known for the nicest or the best marble in the world.
Yes, there's not a monument more.
This is really cool. It's a pine straw armadillo made by the Alabama Coushatta Indians in Livingston, Texas. It's really cool. I know some of us have been there before and visited with the Alabama Coushatta, some of their elders. We have friends there, and they are our relatives. This is some beadwork.
Oh, okay, that room on, okay, then that's, so it'll be, we've got a, but I need to clean, I need to dust, and I can come in and dust.
I don't know how well this will show up for y'all, but hopefully you can get an idea.
Couldn't even imagine.
A lot of nice points and shirt. All this was found locally. Some iron bracelets, buckles.
It is.
These are all parts from a gun.
No kidding.
And this is a musket barrel.
It is so hard, you feel like you're giving up so much. And I'm just now getting comfortable being a housewife. Just now. It's like, okay, this is my new job, this is my new life.
Musket balls.
I'm always a career person. I had to.
These are some spear points from the Tennessee River. Some stone beads. buttons, earrings, and thimbles used as jewelry. A blade. Pieces of trade pipe. This is my friend David Beasley, and he's going to talk a little bit and explain something about these musket barrels.
Okay. This first one right here, this is a trade gun. Longest produced gun ever, period. They first came in the late 1600s, and the last known was made 1908, 1910. It's round on the barrel end, or the exit end, and it's octagon up close to the breech. And there is what is called a marriage line between the octagon and the round part, and there is ornamental that there is a section in there called a wedding band for the marriage line. I always found that kind of interesting. And a couple of these locks, this one and this one especially, those are British Brown Bess locks. I can just about guarantee that, the way they are shaped and the overall size.
Very cool. And can you see the wedding band? Can you put that?
Yeah, I can. Hang on,
Or-
just let me get my spectacles out. Right there. That's it right there. See, it almost looks like a wedding band.
And it should not.
Okay, I see it.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir.
Some more. These are some bird points. Some seed beads. Very cool. That's nice. The Selocta News, August 4th, 1955. It says, Wallace Maury brought me the pictured above pieces of art from the Indian burial grounds, and Harmon Mills photographed it. Being statuesque, so to speak, and without arms, I'm led to believe it is the likeness of a reigning Venus of that day. Therefore, since the Indian name for Selocta was Buzzard's Roost, for the archives and for posterity, I am captioning the picture Miss Buzzard's Roost of 3000 BC. I cannot verify the history of all that, because Buzzard's Roost, there's another Buzzard's Roost that is not Selocta, so I'm not sure
What's that?
where that comes from. The Buzzard, it says that Selocta, or says this came from this old news clipping. The Selocta News says that Selocta was Buzzard's Roost.
Yes.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah, that's it was probably called that, but as far as Native American historical sense, no, it was.
Because I know Buzzard's Roost was Chickasaw, and that was
Well, that may have been the Chickasaw name for it.
the north, more the north western corner of the state. That's what I'm trying to get up.
I got you.
Some
Shell jewelry.
turtle, musk turtle, loja. Some limestone pipe fragments.
Yeah, made of clay.
This is really cool. Conch shell is found on Indian village ground on the Coosa River. Very cool. Grinding stone. There's the historical articles here. It's talking about Chief Chinnobee. There is Salaka Chinabe. This is Testanagiamafla.
Look how they spell Muskogee right there.
Yeah. Muskhogee. Which is spelled, of course, it's been spelled a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
I'm just shaking.
This is another newspaper clipping. It's from, looks like 1982. Talladega, Selocta, Chiha, Coosa, Tallapoosa, Camogu, and Choclacu. So we can get a good picture of this map here without the glare. Maybe we can screenshot that or whatever and have a map and kind of see some of this. The area. Here's another map. Let me try to get the glare off of that. I don't know if we can tell much or not, but maybe we can do some screenshots off of this. It's Creeklands in the east, the map. And yes, there are creeks still in the east. And here's Timpoochee Barnard, Yuchi, and of course, I'd like to point out that Creek Indians were not one tribe. Creek Indians were identified by the colonists because they lived near creeks. I believe there's a little bit more to it than that, but that's another different story. But there were no Creek Indians at one time, or nobody known as Creek Indians, and what became known as the Creek Indians was actually a group of many different tribes with different languages, Yuchi being one of them. This is an old map, hand-drawn map of South Talladega County and Clay County. It's really cool. Scanning across. But something caught my interest is right down here at the bottom. You see McGee's, And I have got to look into this more for sure.
Yeah, those are all ferries.
So there was a McGee ferry. And it's interesting that Lynn McGee worked at a ferry at Sizemore Landing at one time. Cool. Something else to dig into there. We're looking at a portrait of Tecumseh, the Shawnee leader. And I'll try to read this while I'm showing him. The Creek Nation occupied the majority of lands in Alabama. Cherokees lived in the northeastern part of the state, Chickasaws in the northwest, and Choctaws in the southwest. Aside from being individual tribes within a confederacy, Creeks were further categorized as living in either upper or lower Creek towns, determined by where they were located relative to upper and lower trade paths connecting the Creeks to South Carolina. In Alabama, this dividing line ran very roughly from east central Alabama, south of Selocta, diagonally below Montgomery, running parallel to I-65 south, and then westward along U.S. Highway 84 at Evergreen on to Mobile. Towns effectively served as capitals or county seats and were important centers of tribal culture and politics. They also reflected differing views regarding the flow of settlers into Creek tribal lands. Many of the upper towns of the Muskogee took up the banner for resisting the increasing American presence, while many of the lower towns believed the influx of settlers brought opportunities for increased trade and profit. These differing views, or points of view between upper and lower towns, resulted initially in the civil war between opposing factions of the Muskogee Nation, which exacerbated each side's position and escalated into what has become known as the Red Stick War or Creek War with the U.S., usually considered as part of the War of 1812. And that does give you a lot of historic information, but I also, a lot of you probably know already that that does not tell the entire story. There's a whole lot more to the Creek War than what this narrative gives us, and it was not always upper creeks being red sticks and lower creeks being friendly creeks. That's a misinterpretation of historical facts. Although generally speaking, a lot of this is true, but you just can't put it all in one box, so to speak, because that was, like I said, there was a whole lot more going on. Of course, there's a lot of things here. I'm not able to cover everything, but here is, it says, Tecumseh, chief of the Shawnee Indians, is blamed for causing a powerful two-day earthquake in 1811. Furious that Big Warrior, chief of the Alabama Creeks, wouldn't join his Indian Federation, Tecumseh promised that when he returned home, he would stomp his foot, causing the earth to shake, rivers to flow backwards, and the sun to disappear. A few months later, December 16th, 1811, an earthquake erupted, causing the Mississippi River to flow north and the sun to be obscured by thick clouds of red dust. The only hut left standing in Big Warrior's village, Tecumseh, was the one in which Tecumseh had stayed during his visit. After that, when he put his foot down, tribes knew he meant business. These are real nice moccasins. They were donated to the museum, but these are from the Blackfoot tribe on loan. Compliments of Rita Sutter from Arizona. This is the first deed record in Talladega County that comes from a Creek individual deeding their land over to a white settler. This deed was filed in 1834. Sale by a Creek Indian of land recorded in Talladega County Courthouse. I'm not going to read all that, but it's a pretty cool, very interesting there. And the whole story behind the land deeds being deeded over. We know a lot of times it was not freely deeded out of their own free will. Sometimes it was, but a lot of times these lands were swindled away, and that's just a whole nother story and a whole big, a lot of rabbits to chase with that one. But that is that's cool to see this deed record. This is talking about Selocta, and this is the portrait of Chief Salaka Chinabe. Very cool. A lot of people know that he was Natchez, and the area around of Talladega County around Chiaha. The Natchez first came into the Creek Nation, a remnant of the Natchez, and settled there and became a part of the Creek Confederacy, and my Monac ancestors came with them. So the first Monac came into the Creek Nation with the group here of the Natchez. As I was talking earlier about the different dynamics of the Creek War, this is a prime example right here, talking about Salaka Chinabe. And these group of Upper Creeks did not join the Red Stick faction. And it talks about some of the lower creeks who did join. That's why I said you can't always go by upper or lower creek, because it's just not it's just not the full story. This is a very interesting article right here. I'm going to try to read a little bit of it for you at least. It says, one of the memorable days in the life of Gareth Lee Walker Sr. was when Creek Indian Chief Calvin W. McGee of Atmore designated him chief of all Creek Indians in Coosa and Talladega counties. That's very interesting. Upstairs we have the Selocta history and native sons and Civil War relics. And then downstairs there's a pioneer exhibit and various collections, and they hold art classes. This really caught my attention for personal reasons. This is an old pump organ from the Shipman Organ Company, High Point, North Carolina, USA. And I'm not sure when this was,
She lives in a museum.
not sure when this, what year this was manufactured, but I can look up and see. But it's really cool to see because my great grandmother, which we called Big Mama, she played the organ and had an old organ. So I was told by my mom. Really cool. Okay, I'm now on the lower level, the Pioneer exhibit. We have the entranceway going into the cabin. This is really cool. The baskets are amazing. Really cool. Lots of cast iron. Look at that old trunk. Isn't that nice? Hey, y'all. Just wanted to show a little bit of some of the things that caught my eye. This is a cider mill. This is on loan from Billy and Angela Duck. Compliments of them to the museum. I love the bell there. The lantern. And absolutely love this old iron. I would say that was an old iron wash pot, wash tub. Probably used to boil clothes, to clean clothes, and probably cook. Possibly to cook if you were cooking a lot. That is, I really like that. I like the, I like looking at the old tools. Look at these with corn cob handles. That is really cool.
Oh yeah.
Oh, goodness.
That's all. That's really cool.
Calibrating the machinery and applying of the yard. So it has your side
The
and my
old
side
saws. I
together.
love old saws.
How about that?
And on top, some more lanterns.
I know I'm nerdy now.
It's going right. I'm glad
Nice rack sitting on top.
Kinks and shortcuts for textile men.
If you don't know,
Get that title.
that's how they used to sweep. That was the brooms, and they used what my parents always called it was broom sage.
Kinks and shortcuts for textile men.
There you go.
And I'm back outside of the building, and I just wanted to share this with everybody. And if you're ever in Selocta, Alabama, please come by and visit the museum here. There's a lot, of course, in the museum I didn't show. You know, a lot about the history of the marble, and of course, most people know it's home of Jim Neighbors, Gomer Pyle, and a lot of other things related to the history of Selocta. But I just really wanted to show the Native American part today while I was here visiting. And I plan to come back, of course, and maybe show some more things. So thank you all, and love to all of you. Maru.